We may as well continue to talk about WrestleMania 41 because it is just around the corner. And actually, a very interesting discussion at the moment comes down to the build for some matches. So let's get into it, my friends, and rank those mother hubbards. Now, given that we do know some matches are going to go on night 1 and night 2, I will start with the ones that I do believe have been confirmed. And we kick off with Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. It's my favorite thing to talk about at the moment because people go, Simon, don't you know it was a work from the beginning? No, I don't know. And no one knows unless you work in WWE. Maybe it did go off the rails and now WWE are trying to turn it into a work. Maybe it was planned all from the beginning. I don't care. Pro wrestling is there to trick you, for lack of a better term. So if they have got me in this position where I don't know what's going on, that's 2 thumbs up. You've done your job. At the same time, I don't think this build has been particularly I don't think this build has been particularly good. I wouldn't call it bad because there certainly has been a lot of intrigue and interest to come from it, but it started too early just because there has been such a huge gap between the Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. And Charlotte declared pretty shortly after the Royal Rumble, so we had to get through so much stuff. But also when you kind of go week to week, there was a lot of times Charlotte was just laying Tiffany out and then she sat on a chair over her. Then we did one of the line down the screen, she's in a different room and that person in a different room, and that was, well, that didn't really click for me anyway. I like the brawl. The brawl was good when they were jumping off as much stuff as possible. Then we now get to the infamous segment, which, yes, maybe it was real, maybe it wasn't real. I do not know. But when I was watching it, I felt awkward. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I felt like I was watching an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and that's not what I want from my wrestling. So, oh man, I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I'm in a room where 2 people are breaking up in front of my face. So if we go on a scale of A, B, C, D, E, F, because that's always fun, I think I would probably, we're grading it, right? We're grading it. So I would probably give it a D. That seems a little bit unfair now I've said it out loud, but that is how I feel about it. Like, I actually think the match itself will be good if they are on the same page. But in terms of getting me excited for it, I think I was more excited sort of 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, than I am now. And obviously that is going in the wrong way. But listen, it's not the end of the world. I always say, I know, sorry, I mean, you're so positive sometimes. Yeah, that's the whole point. I want to be nice about pro wrestling. Every now and then you swing a bat and you don't hit the ball, and sometimes you whack it and you get a home run. I'm giving it a D. Gunther versus Jey Uso apparently is also going to be on night 1. It's not going to be the main event, as we know. And this one I actually quite like. Now, apparently, I'm very independent and very alone in this because some people found out, well, some people felt like there was a few weeks where it was just Jey Uso gets beaten down, Jey Uso gets beaten down. But I kind of always suspected that Jimmy Uso was going to get involved and that Jey Uso would become serious and that we were going to have a blood feud on our hands. I have quite liked it because, again, I can't remember if Jey declared around the same time as Charlotte, but you'd have to imagine it was similar. And I just love the fact that Jey Uso was so over. I love the fact that he won the Royal Rumble. I loved everything with Jimmy Uso. I thought that was brilliant, and he should get involved at WrestleMania 2. I love the promo Jey Uso cut on the most recent episode of Raw as I'm talking to you. Gunther has just been brilliant throughout the thing. He's just amazing. He's so condescending, and he gives you his opinions, and he gives you his thoughts, but he presents them as if they're fact. Like, Jey Uso, you're not good enough to be a world champion. You're like, well, that's not true, but he did say it in a certain way. So I actually think they are polar opposites that are working. I watched Gunther on the Ariel Helwani show the other day. He kind of said that he didn't suspect or necessarily want to face Jey Uso at WrestleMania, but now they have got into the nitty-gritty. He totally understands it, and it's ticking all the boxes. So yeah, I've massively enjoyed it, and I'm going to give it a B on the ranking scale. I just think it's worked, and I just want to see more of it, and WWE at no point has made me go, oh, Jey Uso shouldn't win the World Championship. I've always been on that train, and sometimes the story should be that simple. An unexpected person wins the Royal Rumble, you get behind them, you like the yeet stuff. I know some people don't like it, more power to you. And I just think it's going to be a moment that we remember forever. And wrestling is about moments and things that we can talk about for years to come. And I said this on a video the other day. Even if it doesn't work out as Jey Uso as the world champion, who gives a flub? The world keeps on turning and we can try it with somebody else, but I think it's going to come good. And yeah, it was really put over the top by me with that Jimmy Uso stuff. Maybe that moves up to an A. I'm going to leave it as a B overall. No, I think I'm being too harsh. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to give it an A. I like it. And we are getting Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins in the main event. And this is why I probably shouldn't have given... You know what? I'm going to give this one an A2. I don't actually think they're comparable. Why you watch my videos, I don't know. But I suppose this one started off slow. Like the first 2 times they were all in the ring, it did feel a little bit like, have we just done this to try and sell more tickets? I don't really understand how we got here. But as soon as we started involving Paul Heyman, oh man, it just became so interesting. You know, having the moment, there's that word again with CM Punk getting his WrestleMania main event, but then going, it's not the favor. And then once again, we didn't overcook the pudding here. CM Punk just says, no, the favor is Paul Heyman. You have to be in my corner. Roman Reigns having a meltdown because he can't handle people leaving him, because while he's confident in his in-ring abilities, personally, he has a massive hole in him. And Seth Rollins coming to having an epiphany, where he's like, man, me moaning about everything's not helping here. Why don't I just become the ultimate opportunist to take a play from Edge's book, or the visionary, or the architect, or whatever, and then somehow sort of forcing, Roman Reigns literally forced Paul Heyman into a corner, and Seth Rollins figuratively did it by saying, well, I'll crush your head. And then the whole stuff with CM Punk running out to try and help his friend, it's really good. And I think the highlight of it is I don't know who's going to win. And CM Punk could win. I actually think not the worst person to win, because I wouldn't mind, but the person I find least interesting winning here is Roman. I think if Seth walks away with Heyman, maybe as a heel, that's fascinating. CM Punk winning is amazing, so I truly do think you could go to CM Punk versus John Cena after that. So this has been really good, and we still have at least 1 or 2 more shows where they'll probably turn up. I mean, they should be on Raw or SmackDown. Maybe we'll just hold it off to SmackDown. I don't know. But that final go-home thing, I think, is going to take it over the top. So while I am putting it into an A here, and I'm jumping the gun a bit early, I actually think the night before WrestleMania, this could fly all the way up to an S. I have massively enjoyed it, and honestly, I don't know which way it's going to go. That's always the best thing, especially when you come to WrestleMania, and I think that's why the Jey Uso Gunther thing works so much. I've convinced myself that Jey is going to win. Of course, I could be wrong, but on this one, shrug emoji, I don't know. Moving on to night 2, we actually have another one of this, because we have Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. I'm going to rank it as a C, because while I've actually massively enjoyed it, it is full of plot holes. It's full of shenanigans. I mean, the whole... is Rhea Ripley not going to be in it? I like the fact when she signed the contract. I think that should have been legal within the world of wrestling. I think that would have been hilarious. Making Bianca Belair the special guest referee, and it was just one of those things where quite clearly WWE had too much time on their hands. We knew it was going to be a triple threat, but they just felt like they kept having to add things in. It was like Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon from 2010, it must have been. All you needed to do was rely on the Montreal Screwjob, and then he was having his hand broken, and there was car accidents. It's like, you've already got the story. Why are you adding to it? And listen, probably see is a little bit harsh, because I think the level of talent, I think what Rhea, Io, and Bianca have done with it is amazing. Every promo segment they've had, I find myself excited about the match. Like, I've never lost the excitement for it. But I do admit it's a bit silly, right? There's no point pretending otherwise. This is one of those that I think the journey is going to be irrelevant compared to the destination. I keep saying this. I do think it could steal the show over the weekend if they are given time. I have no idea who's going to win. So that should give it some bounty points. Maybe I'll give it a C+, because again, Io could retain, Rhea could walk away with it. I still think Bianca is the most interesting option, but it's kind of similar to the other triple threat we've already talked about. WWE, I think just through star power, and they do need credit for that, has kind of got you on your tootsie toes as you're trying to guess. But it did go around the houses. And I know I always use this analogy, but it is like Google mapping to your own house. We ended up where we were going to end up anyway. We just went on a little bit of a walk when there was no need. But listen, man, when you're hot and you have people that do resonate with the crowd as much as this, you can try things. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't really matter. So I shall give it a C, but yes, give them 20 minutes or so, and I promise you it is going to be a WrestleMania match we talk about for a long ass time. And our last confirmed match in terms of days is John Cena and Cody Rhodes, the main event of night 2. I am so excited. I don't even care, man. I am giving it an S. I know that's going to send people crazy, like, I can't believe you're doing it. I can't help it. I haven't minded anything that they've done. Some people are like, we haven't mentioned The Rock, and John Cena kind of fell into somewhat of a repetition over week 1 and week 2. But sometimes I just have to rely on my instincts. That's not the right word at all, how I'm reacting to something. Seeing John Cena as a heel, it was like Christmas time for me. I couldn't believe it. He could have stood there and read me the phone book, but because he was doing it in a nasty way, I'd be like, man, this is the best thing ever. It's the best thing I've seen in my life. And I understand you could say, Simon, you are being way too nice here. And I agree with you, but that's how I felt. Like night 2 or week 2, whatever the flub it was, I was away somewhere. I was in a tiny hotel. I just made sure I was actually doing something else and I was secretly watching it because I was so desperate to see what John Cena was going to do. I think Cody's retorts, especially on week 3, where they did have their big back-to-back promo, has been brilliant. And if you had told me anyway that it was going to be John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, I would have been so pumped. But doing it this way, sometimes I just take what I can get. And yes, there should have been more mentions of The Rock, and yes, probably we should have got to the promo in week 3 earlier, but why rush? Give me more of the stuff we did in week 1 and week 2 of John Cena just crapping on kids, not literally, obviously, figuratively, I think it's wonderful. I just do. And I think sometimes the build doesn't have to be sort of universally accepted for it to mean something to you. I mean, this is what I talk about a lot in all of my content. Just because you think something sucks, there's always going to be someone in some part of the world, so that's the best thing I ever saw. Because you can't account for taste and you can't account for entertainment. And I clearly have terrible taste. But this is an S-tier build because sometimes I just wake up in the middle of the night going, oh my gosh, I get to see heel John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. And yes, I want to double down because I know what the comments are going to do. They should have mentioned The Rock. I think they will mention him. It'll probably be this coming week, and then it justifies where it is. I've just loved it. I'm not going to poo-poo on something just because it didn't do exactly what it should have done when the way that I connected with it was still like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I love Cody's promos. I love the crossroads. I wouldn't have changed it. I know. I'm that guy, but I wouldn't have done it. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I'm going to whack that in the D category as well. There is some bias here because I don't really want to see the match because I'd like AJ Styles to be in a different program. It will still be really good on the night, be it night 1 or night 2. But really, what did they do? I mean, they had some kind of interaction in the Royal Rumble, but then they essentially just got told, oh, you're going to have a match at WrestleMania. Like, even if you'd only been casually watching the show for the past 6 weeks, I don't think you would have had a massive handle on how this came together. And we had everything with that other comedian that I can't remember the name of now. It's just felt a bit wishy-washy, and essentially somebody had decided, well, we should do AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. It will be a really good match, which it will be. But there's no real... We've kind of sort of retroactively tried to add it in thanks to Karrion Kross. Like, AJ, you have to win. You can't let the celebrity wrestler beat you. And I do like that because it does add some, there's that word again, jeopardy to the thing. And I'm starting to think that maybe Karrion Kross is going to screw over AJ Styles, which I'm not sure I'm ever going to be able to handle. But... listen, AJ Styles is one of the GOATs. We all know that. However you want to feel about Logan Paul is totally fine. But you wouldn't call this an all-time build. Or I certainly wouldn't. And I would probably say it's no fault of their own. It's the stories they've given. I would call it slightly below average. So we've taken C as average. I got to give it a D. LA Knight versus Jake Fatu is a weird one because for ages we thought it was going to be a multi-man match for the US Championship. But now actually you can kind of go back to the latter end of 2024, which is when LA Knight and Solo Sikoa or LA Knight and the Bloodline started to get into it with each other. Then you had the bizarre thing with Shinsuke Nakamura, which probably does have to drag it down a little bit. But I'm going to whack it in B category. Like, I love the fact we're doing a singles match, although that could change. You never do know. But the best thing about this is nobody can lose. LA Knight retaining, awesome. Jake Fatu winning his first singles championship, awesome. I think Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga will be involved. Maybe they cost a Jacob Fatu, or maybe they help him. It depends what you want to do coming out the other side. So it has that going for it. But I've actually enjoyed it. Like, everything between Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman has been super duper fun. Jacob the whole time has been, shown off to be an absolute monster. Solo Sikoa is brilliant in his role. So is Tama Tonga. LA Knight is a mega over mega star, which is the dumbest sentence I've ever said in my life. So while this one kind of has been sneaking around in the background, I think because we have now got to the singles match and we haven't sort of overthought it, it's kind of done its job. Like, I like this match on paper. I look forward to seeing it. And it's like some of the other ones we're going to talk about. Sometimes less is more. Being simple is effective. So yeah, I'm going to whack it in a B category. When I assume Jacob Fatu will come out first. When I hear his music, I'm going to be like, oh man, here we go. And I think it could lead to other stories. So this is really good and a nice reminder. You don't have to overthink things sometimes. Just come up with a simple story and stick to it. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus whoever's going to win that SmackDown gauntlet. I am recording this before the SmackDown where it's going to air. Man, I mean, E, probably an F. This one really annoys me. Like, it really bothers me. Raquel Rodriguez, and Liv Morgan especially, had an awesome 2024. That match with Bianca and Naomi was so damn good. And I actually thought we were going to use that to pivot and try and give some love to the Women's Tag Team Championships, and we haven't done any with them. Even the women in this gauntlet don't make sense. Maxine and Natalya have barely been a team, and they're essentially a number one contender match. Now people are telling me they may fall out and do a match, which is so damn weird. Why are Bayley and Lyra decided to be friends when they were having matches for the IC Championship? Michin and who the flub is she with? I can't remember now. B-Fab? Have they ever had a tag team match? And Kaden Carter and Katana Chance vanished from television until we went to Europe. Then they vanished again. So, no, screw it. I am going to throw this in F category. It is nothing on the talent in the ring. It's just these women tag team championships we could do way more with, and we're just not. And I think it's a missed opportunity. I just do. Because, again, right now, Liv and Raquel are genuinely a cool team. And if we could build other teams around them, even if you did do a multi-person, which we probably still will do here, I think this could be really good. And we ain't just letting it happen. Jade Cargill versus Naomi is going right into the S category. Like, it really, really is. I have loved all of this. Naomi's heel turn has been brilliant. It's the breath of fresh air she's leaving, or actually you can argue what she's saying is true. I think Jade Cargill plays her role brilliantly too. She was off TV for ages, which does add to the impact of this. I love the fact they keep going at each other. I love their promos. That video we did for Naomi is brilliant. I think she should win, but that's a different video for a different day. What else can you even say about it? Like, I do kind of feel like Naomi may babyface herself a little bit here, just by what she is saying. But it's also because Jade Cargill is so damn dominant, you can't be sympathetic towards her, even though she got thrown into a car. She just looks like a superhero. She looks like a killer. But this really has something to me, and I really hope they can make it work at WrestleMania, because there is still this asterisk next to Jade Cargill's wrestling ability. I think as long as you give her a good few things to do and she does them well, you can make it work. And Naomi is underrated. She just is. She's absolutely fantastic. So I have loved this every step of the way. And probably putting in S category, what I should probably make out, as I will do now, this is in relation to the other builds that we've got going, not compared to stuff we've done in the past. So if we were going to do a WrestleMania best ever build, like Austin versus The Rock from Mania 17 would be an S category. And then in relation to that, you probably put Naomi and Jade Cargill at like a B or something like that. But if we compare it to everything in 2025, I'm whacking it right in the S grade, just because I'm so damn excited about it. And that's all a program should do. It should get you pumped. It should get you ready. And that's what I want. I am secretly rooting for Naomi. Jade, I'm sorry. Braun Breaker versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio versus Penta, I actually think has been quite fun. Do I give it a B? I think so. CNC's a little bit too mean. Like, they've actually justified the multi-man match for me. And at first I was like, oh man, we're doing so many multi-mans, but now we're not necessarily doing as many as I thought we were. I'm really enjoying everything between Finn and Dominic, with Liv Morgan sticking the oar in. Of course, you're just going to know this is going to break up the Judgment Day. And now WWE's convinced me that the condom could win by completely protecting Braun Breaker, who has started to say maybe after WrestleMania I should go after the World Championship. And Penta just fits in here brilliantly. Like, it's probably not something we're going to talk about for years and years to come, but it's just kind of ticked along nicely. Maybe there's been a bit too many shenanigans and run-ins and things like that, but I do think mostly they've been justified. Admittedly, I don't have a lot to say about it, so maybe it lacks an element of depth. But, I mean, even that crazy spear that Braun Breaker did on Carlito, there has been some entertaining things along the way, and I do want to see the match, and I'm glad that each of these people is going to get their moment at WrestleMania, which is more on the human side of things. I give you that. But yeah, I think I will give it a B. I have liked it. And it's not going to last long in the memory. I know I keep saying that, and we will forget about it, but that's okay. Not everything has to be sort of super duper home run. This is just like a good solid shot, and somebody gets to third base. Does that work? Okay, cool. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. I mean, it's probably in the C category. It has been quite average. I know the El Grande Americano thing has sort of, sprung up some conversations, but the match is going to be brilliant. I think this was more about sitting down and someone going, we could do Rey versus Chad Gable at WrestleMania. Someone being like, oh my gosh, we should do that. It's going to be very cut angle Shawn Michaels, cut angle Eddie Guerrero. I think it should be of that ilk because they are just so damn incredible. But yeah, there's not really much to say here. Like, it's just stop insulting my culture and Chad Gable being the biggest dickhead on the planet. So I'll whack it in the C grade. And that's it. There's nothing else to talk about when it comes to it. And that probably means, again, if we were ranking all of them, it would definitely be knocked down a few rankings, because it doesn't really feel like a WrestleMania match, apart from the fact they are so talented, and Rey Mysterio is one of the best wrestlers ever, and Chad Gable is one of the most underrated wrestlers ever. But outside of that, I mean, I don't mind goofy wrestling. In fact, I love it, and I do like the fact it's been injected here. But the fact I've already run things out to say, I'll give it a C. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest is going into somewhere between A and S. I really like it. Like, this match and the Naomi Jade Cargill match are my two anticipation matches, like, more than anything. Even John Cena, Cody Rhodes, I mean, we've already talked about, that's kind of different. But I just think Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest have done the business, as people say, based on quite a long feud going back all the way to WrestleMania 40, when Drew McIntyre lost the belt to Damian Priest, who cashed in his Money in the Bank. They both had great 2024s. You have Damian Priest throwing Drew McIntyre into a car, which is the second time we've talked about this in this video, which is a bit weird. But it's two dudes who in many ways aren't getting the praise they deserve. They absolutely will turn it into a WrestleMania spectacle. If there is some kind of stipulation that will raise it even higher, I just like it, man. Like I say, not everything has to be like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. It's not the main event, so you don't want to give it too much, otherwise it will overshadow over things. They're just super duper professional wrestlers, so I'm going to whack it somewhere between S and A, only because I think it may get better still. I also think I'm being a bit mean here, but just take it like this. It's brilliant. I love it, and long may it continue. New Day versus the War Raiders, very sadly, has to get a D2. This just sucks. It's just been rushed, right? It has been so damn rushed, and that upsets me. I'm very excited about what the New Day could do with this, but it just came out of nowhere. Oh, we'd like a tag team match. All right, we'll give you a tag team match. Then we do the DQ thing, which was fine. It would probably set up a chairs match. Just don't think we've capitalized enough on the New Day's heel turn, which was all time. And ever since the War Raiders have won those belts, I had a weird match with the Creeds, and that was it. So we could have done more with all the tag team belts, and the SmackDown belt's going to get a D as well, just because we actually know this officially just yet. But even though we have tried hard with all of the teams, it's a bit wishy-washy. It's just a bit like, oh man, I want the belt, so you don't want the belt, so on and so forth. And the Street Profits probably have to retain, and I imagine The Miz and Carmelo Hayes will be in that, which is the only reason we did throw them together, which is also a little bit lame. Just the tag belts in general. We could do so much more with all the tag belts. And I stare off into the distance and hope that one day we do. I think we're probably going to get Randy Orton versus Nick Aldis as well. I'm not going to grade that one because it would be super unfair. But if I was going to grade Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, you bet your ass I'd give it an A. I think that's probably everything if there are any other matches that haven't been super duper confirmed. But more importantly, make sure you get in the comments below and let me know where I went wrong and do your gradings. Like the video, share the video. Please do subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, click the video on the screen, which is me talking about what's going to happen when Seth Rollins did finally sort of fall out, but also fall in love with Paul Heyman. There's very interesting points there. Otherwise, if you go to grillermind.com/Simon, you go to Simon, you get 10% off, and some things are 25%, 30% off right now. There's a link in the description, as there are for all of these things. Patreon.com/Simon316, Simon316 on social media, Simon J. Miller on TikTok, where I did just talk about Charlotte and Tiffany, Simon Miller on Cameo. I think there's still some discounts, but I'm not sure they control the sales. SimonMiller.BigCartel.com for European t-shirt sales, and ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller for American sales. Otherwise, I appreciate you. Do not hit the table when you finish your video, Simon. You are an idiot. Take care. Goodbye.